gars d'ici, être le directeur de général des Canadiens est une occasion d'une vie.
Enjoy the moment, you're in the NHL here.
Working for the Montreal Canadiens is a dream. La plus grande franchise dans la histoire du hockey.
If it was my last day on this planet, and you told me what would you like to do, I want to be in that building on a Saturday night.
All right, gang, how are you tonight? I apologize for being so late. I apologize. It is all my fault. I had to scramble to get my graphics together. As you know, I switched up my setup here recently, and unfortunately, I thought my old graphics would shift from the old computer to the new computer, and they did not, and I only figured that out about 10-15 minutes before the show started, so I've just spent the last half hour scrambling to do the best I could to try and get the graphics together as best I could. So this is HABS Therapy Day. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you very much for being here. We are going to get things going. It's going to be a really fun show today. I've got some fun things to talk about. This is another episode of HABS Therapy Day, your weekly interactive bilingual hockey show focused on the NHL and your Montreal Canadiens. Our show is designed to give you objective, informed, and reasoned takes about the NHL and our favorite team. You won't find clickbait or hot takes here. And if you're looking for delusional cheerleading and sensational rumors, you're absolutely in the wrong place. There's lots of places on the internet you can go and find those. But if you're looking for, some fun, smart, civil conversation about the Canadiens, this is the place for you. Bienvenue à votre émission favorite de hockey hebdomadaire, interactive et bilingue, axée sur les Canadiens de Montréal. Notre émission est conçue pour vous donner des points de vue objectifs, informés et raisonnés sur la LNH et nos glorieux. Vous ne trouverez pas des pièges à clics ou des hot takes ici. Et si vous recherchez la claque ou des rumeurs sensationnelles, vous n'êtes pas au bon endroit. Si vous voulez ça, vous pouvez aller visiter BPM Sport, RDS ou les autres sources médiatiques. Mais pour nous autres, on préfère la conversation objective, la conversation intelligente et civile à propos de nos Canadiens. C'est un endroit où vous pouvez avoir des conversations intelligentes sur le tricolore sans avoir à vous soucier des conneries typiques de l'Internet. Alors, si vous êtes prêts, commençons. This is a place to have intelligent conversations about the Habs without having to deal with the typical BS that you will find with most other online platforms. So if you're ready, let's get started. That's the intro, guys. Welcome to the show. Again, we're here to have some good, fun conversation about the Canadiens. Today we're going to talk about some fun stuff. We're going to actually have a conversation about Jacob Fowler and see if we can't get to the bottom of what's going on with his decision whether or not to join the Montreal Canadiens or whether he is going to look to return to the Boston College Eagles for another year in the NCAA. We'll have a quick look at Ivan Demidov and his playoff performance with the SKA St. Petersburg team. That team played today, their third game in the series against Dynamo Moscow. And perhaps most fun will be, we're going to go through the NHL award winners. I'm going to give you my choices for each of the NHL awards, along with the runners-up and who I believe will be first, second, and third. So who will be the nominees for each award, and then who will be the winner of each award. So that's what we're going to do, guys. If you're over there on TikTok, feel free to come on over and join us on YT and Twitch. If you're over here on YT, guys, thanks for being here. I see you here, Billy D. Billy D says last night's win was pretty good therapy. I agree. It was a fun game to watch. Absolutely a step in the right direction. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Canadiens use that victory to take the next step towards becoming a playoff team. It's not so much just the victory and the 2 points that matter, but I think also you might see them get a bit of a boost from the fact that the way in which they won, right? How did they win the game? They didn't just win the game, they won it in very emotional and a really special way. And I'm wondering if that might give them a little bit more of a jump heading into the rest of this week's games. And going forward, 8 games left in the season. They're two points ahead of the nearest challenger for the wild card. So we'll see how that goes. So that, I suppose, brings us to our first step of the show here, guys. Like I said, the graphics might not be completely up to par because I did have to rush to get back through them. But we will go through our weekend review. That is the starting point for our show typically, and so we'll do that here now. Of course, we didn't have a show last week, so we've actually got 2 weeks worth of games to review. We go back to the 19th of March, which was the last episode of HABS Therapy Day, and so we'll go and we'll have a look at that. That's not the weekend review. That's not the weekend review. This is not the right one, so I'll have to go here. I'll have to go here. I will have to go here. Pardon me, guys. And that's where I want to be. So here we are, guys. There's our weekend review. There were 7 games played over the last 2 weeks. Quite honestly, it wasn't a great 2 weeks for the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously, the last 2 games against the Panthers with the back-to-back win and completing the sweep against the Stanley Cup or the defending Stanley Cup champions was a positive, but the last 2 weeks overall was not ideal for the Canadiens. They had 2 wins, 3 losses, and 2 losses in overtime. One of their losses, or one of their wins, of course, was also in overtime. And so they were able to get 6 of the 14 points that were available to them during that 2-week period. Again, not ideal, not great, but they did manage to remain in a playoff spot. They are alone in the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. They're 2 points ahead of both the Rangers and Columbus. They have played the same number of games as the Rangers. However, the Columbus Blue Jackets do have a game in hand on them. If we look on the bottom column of the graphic on your screen, guys, you'll see the standings or where the Canadiens stood as of this same date last year. So they had played 74 games at this point last year. So the same number of games exactly. They had 29 wins at that point last year. So let me just go here for one momento. Pardon moi. So yeah, so they had 24 wins last year at this or 29 wins at the same time last year. They have 35 this year. So they have 6 more victories this year. They had 70 points last year at this same time. And of course, this year they have 79. So they have improved their lot as far as the points by 9. They've increased 9 points since last year. Their winning percentage was .473 last year, and it is .530. I'm not sure exactly what it is right now. I believe it's .530 something, .534 if I'm not mistaken. And their goal differential is a little bit better this year. It's only 22 goals better. Of course, this last 2 weeks has kind of not been ideal for them, right? They gave up 4 to the Islanders. They gave up 5 to Colorado. They gave up 6 to both St. Louis and Philadelphia. So those numbers certainly had a negative impact on their plus-minus. If you recall the show 2 weeks ago, I believe they were at a -12 or 13, I think was the goal differential at that time. And now they've that number has grown to -25. So things are not looking up in that sense, the goal differential world. But again, they maintain that second wild card spot. They're still, they still control their own destiny. The schedule appears to get a little bit easier now that they've finished, the back-to-back games against Florida, the game against Carolina, the game against St. Louis, the game against Colorado, right? Those were some pretty tough games over the last 2 weeks. And, going forward, things appear to let up a little bit as far as the competition goes. That doesn't mean that it's going to get any easier. They're obviously going to have to win those games, but they do continue to play meaningful games now in April, right? We said March and April, and the calendar has just shifted over to April. So they are playing meaningful games at the very end of the season, games that matter, and games that will either propel them towards or away from a playoff spot, which is, I don't think their ultimate goal, but it is their goal at this point of the season. Certainly if you're in the dressing room and you're one of those players, that is what you're trying to do, and that's their their ultimate goal this year, I think, was to play meaningful games. They've achieved that, so playoffs would be a bit of a cherry on top of the sundae. But again, I think from the players' perspective, at this point, they've gotten close enough now where this is what they're trying to do, and so we'll see how things go over the next 8 games or so. Let me see what the remaining schedule is. What's the best way for me to find that? I think it's right here. What did I see earlier? I saw something on here. The remainder of the season. Perhaps, here we go. So the Canadiens' remaining schedule, Boston, Philadelphia, Nashville, Detroit, Ottawa, Toronto, Chicago, and Carolina. So that last game against Carolina will be a tough one, I would expect. You would hope that they would beat Boston. Boston is struggling and has just moved into last place in the Eastern Conference. Despite the loss last week in Philadelphia, one would think that they should be able to take on Philadelphia. Nashville should be a team they should beat. Detroit should be a team they should beat. Ottawa and Toronto, I think those will be 2 pretty good games back-to-back on the road, by the way. And then the game against Chicago at home. And then again, like I said, the final game against Carolina probably will be a tough one. So we'll see where they get to. Between now and then. And that should be. And by the way, 5 of the remaining 8 games will be played at home. And so that should be a positive for the Canadiens as well. Their schedule looks pretty favorable, but again, it's all about winning games regardless of who you're playing against. At this time, it's it's important that you win no matter who you're playing against, whether it's the good teams, the bad teams, or anyone else. So, welcome to the show, guys. I see there's a few more of you have just shown up. Like I said. I'm not here to talk at you guys. I would much prefer to talk to you. So if you have any questions or comments about anything that we're talking about, feel free to let me have it. Si vous voulez demander des questions en français, si vous avez des commentaires en français, j'aimerais bien vous répondre. C'est le but de cette émission est de parler avec vous, de ne pas parler à vous. Je vais avoir des conversations. Je ne veux pas simplement parler et vous écouter. Pour moi, j'aimerais avoir une conversation. Alors, si vous avez des questions, si vous avez des commentaires, j'aimerais bien les entendre. Billy D asks any news on Kapanen. My understanding is that he arrived in Montreal today. Actually, I'm certain that he was not on the ice for practice today. His season, of course, is over in Sweden. And so he, has now come over. What the plan is for him, I don't know. Whether they intend for him to be a part of the Canadiens for the rest of the season, or whether their intention is to have him go to Laval and be a part of that playoff push, I don't know. I don't know how much lead up it will take for him to get to where he needs to be. He obviously played with the team earlier in the season, so I guess he has some understanding of the systems that they play, but it has been a while, obviously. I think it's been December, I think was the last time he played for the Canadiens. So again, the idea of sliding him into the lineup immediately, I'm not sure about that. And again, I'm not sure whether the intention is for him to be a part of the Canadiens or whether the intention is for him to go down and join Laval. Certainly if he joins Laval, I think he'll give them a big boost. He had a pretty solid season after leaving Montreal when he went back to Timrå I believe it was Timrå, and he was on about a point per game pace, was one of the leading scorers in the Swedish league, and certainly after struggling a little bit as a rookie in Montreal, he certainly did better once he went back to Sweden. So we'll see what he has to offer, and we'll see what the Canadiens' plans are for him, and whether or not they keep him up with the big team or whether they send him down to the American Hockey League. So we're going to get into what I think will be the funnest part of the show tonight, guys, or certainly a very fun part of the show. In a minute, guys, we're going to talk about the NHL award winners. Before we do that, we're going to talk about this is kind of the rebuild component of the show. We're going to talk about the rebuild. So what I want to talk about, guys, is at the beginning of the season in October, I wrote an article that I published on the reclinersports.ca website, and the article was entitled "The Habs Recipe for Making the Playoffs." And essentially, the intention of the article, the purpose of the article, was to look at what it would take, or what it should take, in order for the Montreal Canadiens to make the playoffs this year. Of course, in October, there were no real, the idea of making the playoffs was a little bit of a long shot at that time. It was a bit of a pie in the sky idea. Certainly, I don't think anybody expected at that time to see the Canadiens in a wild card spot. And I think that if you had sort of put odds on whether the Canadiens were going to make the playoffs, you would have probably said it was probably, relatively low, maybe somewhere in the, the range of 10 to 15, 20 maybe at the most percent. The odds of the Canadiens making the playoffs at the beginning of the year were quite low, and certainly after the way, they started the season in October and November, things did not look great. So I thought it would be a good time to go and revisit some of the points that were made in that article, and some of the things that I pointed out as being sort of keys in order for a team to make the playoffs in the NHL. And what I did essentially with the points that I made was go back and look at some of the historical numbers as far as what you needed to accomplish, as far as points and goals against and whatever, and look at some sort of traditional guidelines or landmarks or achievements that you had to make in order to historically be a playoff team in the NHL. And so the first one we looked at was obviously points. How many points did you have to get in order to either guarantee yourself or give yourself a better than good chance to actually make it into the Stanley Cup playoffs? And if we go back over the last 16 years and we look at all of the teams that made the playoffs, and we look at the teams that were the last ones in, right, the last team to make the playoffs. So last year, the Washington Capitals would have been the last team into the playoffs. What was the point total on average for those teams that make it into the playoffs at the last minute, right? Who are over, and again, the last 16 years, that's basically the cap era minus the COVID season. So the average point number or point total for a team making that last playoff spot over the last 16 years was 94 points. That's a .573 winning percentage. And right now, the Canadiens are currently on a pace to get to 88 points. Their winning percentage at the moment is .534, and over 82 games, that works out to an 88-point total. So can the Canadiens make it into the playoffs if they get to 88 points? Is that going to be good enough, right? Is that, are we going to see the average number slip to an extent that will allow the Canadiens to get in with 88 points? Or are they going to have to do better than that over their last 8 games of the season in order to get their number, maybe closer to 92 or 94 points, right? That means, right now they currently sit at, let's just check here for one moment. They currently sit at, what did I say earlier? I believe I said 79 points was what I said. So So currently they are at 79 points with 8 games left. So in order to get to 94 points, they're going to have to get 15 points in their last 8 games. Not highly likely, right? That basically means they're going to have to win every game. If they go 4-4 in their last 8 games, that would give them 87 points. If they go 5-3, that will give them 89 points. So 6-2 will give them 91 points. So I don't know what we all think about that. What the prospect of is, of them going, 6-2 or 5-3 in their last games. Fortunately, it doesn't look like any of the teams below the Canadiens in the playoff race or in the wild card race are, beaten down the doors by any means. The Rangers are not playing really good. The other teams sort of in the race are not sort of going on any type of real, streak or anything. Just looking right now. So the Blue Jackets are 3-6-1 in their last 10. The Rangers are 4-5-1. The Red Wings are 4-5-1. The Islanders are 3-4-3. So none of the teams following or coming up on the Canadiens who have a chance of potentially knocking the Canadiens out of that last wildcard spot have played 500 hockey over their last 10 games. The Canadiens haven't played great hockey either, but they're 4-3-3. They're on a 2-game winning streak, so that's maybe something positive to look at. Again, guys, if you have any comments about any of this, if you want to chime in, I'm certainly, like I said, my goal here is not to talk at you or to you. I want to talk with you guys. So if you think they can get to 94 points, I don't think that's very realistic. Maybe you can let me know what you think they can get to as far as a point total this year. Do you think they can get above 90? Can they get, can they finish 5-3 between now and the end of the season with their upcoming schedule? Let me know what you think. 246 goals for the season, right? So that is based on the magic number of 3 goals per game. Just it's commonly viewed as a landmark or as a a standard point, or that you need to try and get to, is to try and score 3 goals per game if you want to make the playoffs. If you're not scoring 3 goals a game, it's a bit of a struggle to make the playoffs. Conversely, if you allow more than 3 goals per game, it also makes it a little bit more difficult to make the playoffs. If you can score more than 3 and allow fewer than 3, then you're almost certainly a playoff team, and you've definitely got to do at least one of those 2 things realistically if you want to have any chance of making the playoffs. Habby Nation says 88 points. I think that's probably a reasonable number, Habby Nations. Do you think that's good enough to get them into a playoff spot? Do you think that if they get 88 points, that'll be enough for them to hold on to that last wild card spot? I don't know. It's going to be tight. I think they might have to get more than 88. I think they might have to get to 90 if they want to make the playoffs. So that means getting 11 of the last 16 points available to them. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. So the Canadiens right now are on a pace to finish the season pretty much exactly on 3 goals per game, right? 3.01 goals per game. That's their pace. That will bring them a total of 247 goals for the season. So in that sense, they've raised their game recently, and they're getting to the point where they're on the right track. I mean, obviously they would like to do better. Where they've struggled, I think, is their goals against. We talked about it the last 2 weeks. I think they had 2 games with 6 goals against and 2 games with 5 goals against. It's not ideal. So right now they're on pace to give up 275 goals for the entire season. That would be just a little bit over 3 1/3 goals per game. Not where you want to be if the goal obviously is to reach that magic number of 3 goals per game. They're giving a third of a goal, so a goal every 3 games beyond where you really ideally would like to be if you want to be a playoff team. So I think that's a number that they're certainly next year going to have to improve on. I think it was the area that they were going to have to improve on the most this year. They have done better this year than they did last year as far as goals against, but there's still work to be done there, and they're going to need to bring that number down for sure. Habs Nations has no idea whether 88 points gets them in the playoffs. I'm with you. I don't know if it will either. Again, it certainly will depend heavily on what the teams below them, specifically the Rangers and the Blue Jackets, what they do between now and the end of the year. I think whoever takes the second wild card spot can do it with 88 or 89 points. Yeah, again, I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. I think if you get to 90 or 91, you pretty much guarantee a spot right now. And again, I think, as I've said a couple times here now, the fact that, the teams in the race for this wild card spot don't seem to be streaking to the finish line, if I can use that terminology. There's no real, there's no team really sort of stepping up to the plate and taking the bull by the horns. The Canadiens did it for a little bit after the Four Nations, but they've certainly have cooled down in the last 2 weeks or so. And so, again, if the Canadiens decide that they want to, if this big 2-game back-to-back sweep over the Florida Panthers can propel them onto a bit of a streak where they can win, maybe 5 or 6 of their last 8 games, then I think that probably puts them in pretty good position to win it. So our Run with Kings, Billy D, Habs Nations, welcome guys. Thank you for popping by. The last statistic that I raised in the article back in October, again, is another concept that sort of is, I don't know if I want to say it's common knowledge, but it's kind of shared amongst hockey people, is the idea that in order to be a playoff team, your power play percentage added to your penalty kill percentage should be greater than 100. That certainly hasn't been the case over the last few years for the Canadiens. And right now, at the moment, it is actually the case. Right now, the Canadiens' power play is running at a 21.2%, which places them 17th in the NHL. And their penalty kill is just over 80%, which places them at 13th in the NHL. And the total, if you add the 80.3 to the 21.2, for all the mathematicians out there, is 101.5. So it is evidently over 100. So as far as that, sort of standard, it has been met. Obviously it's close, so they're going to have to maintain it between now and the end of the year if they want to continue to work towards that goal. I will say that there have been times during this season where that number was closer to 110, where the Canadiens' power play was significantly better than it currently sits at 17th at the NHL. Certainly it was in the top 10 for a significant period of time. Even earlier in the season when they were struggling to get wins, right? October and November and even the better part of December, the power play was running pretty decently. And then certainly when Patrick Laine entered the lineup, it was doing really, really well. It's kind of fallen off in recent times, and I think it's certainly an area of the game that could use some improvement. I think they need to be better than 17th in the league. But they do, they do meet that standard of 100 if you add the two together. Like I said, the 80.3 and the 21.2. They do meet the standard that I set for them at the beginning of the season. So in that sense, the goal is achieved. But again, it's very close, right? It only takes a couple of games for your special teams to struggle for that number to fall below 100. So, one would hope that they can improve that number between now and the end of the year. Obviously, with some of the teams that they have left, you would hope that those numbers can get a little bit of a boost. If you're over on TikTok, guys, and you want to see the graphics and you want to see what we're actually talking about, come on over and join us on YT. We'd love to have you. Everybody's invited. We're trying to give you guys a place to talk about the Habs and the game. If you are over here, guys, I do appreciate it. I see Habs Nations, Run with Kings, Billy D. Not sure who else is in here right now. It says that there's only 6 people watching at the moment. anyways, it is what it is. We'll keep going. But again, guys, if we look at those numbers, I think it's a bit of a mixed result. You would hope that they would get their point total up a little bit from the 88 that they're currently on pace from. It's been a little bit of a struggle keeping the puck out of the net. I think those numbers for goals against are a little bit skewed by, as you'll recall, there were some games early in the season where they gave up some pretty big numbers. They gave up a 9 against, I want to say it was Seattle. They gave up a 9 to Pittsburgh, I believe. Maybe it was an 8 to Seattle. There was a couple of 8s and at least one 9 out there. Like I said, last week they had 2 games with 6 goals against. I know there was at least one game against the Rangers with 7 against. The Maple Leafs, there was a game with 7 against. So there's a lot of big numbers out there, and so those numbers perhaps skew the overall points or goals against per game, and hopefully those big games, those big point totals or goal numbers against is something that they can cut down on. Certainly, we've seen them improve on that a little bit since Christmas time. The blowout type games are not happening nearly as often, and that's something that I think they can certainly work on. Do I think the Habs can win tomorrow? Well, they definitely can win, KJ. Obviously, I think they can beat anybody in the league on any given night. But I think one thing they have shown us is that, they can either come out and play spectacular hockey or they can come out and play some pretty stinky hockey, right? Consistency has been probably their biggest downfall this year. We've seen them play, amazing games against some of the best teams in the league. Like they've beaten Florida 4 times, as we know. They've beaten Edmonton twice, I believe. They've beaten Colorado. They've beaten Las Vegas. They've beaten Tampa. Like they can play with anybody in the league, but they just need to learn, get to the point where they're doing it night in and night out. So Boston obviously should be a team that they beat right now based on where Boston is as far as the standings and where they are with their team. But again, who knows, right? We don't know. Boston games typically don't. It's like Toronto, right? You never know what you're going to get from a Toronto game, and rarely, regardless of where the teams sit in the standings, rarely do you get a game where it's easy. You don't get easy games against the Boston Bruins, especially at this time of the season. So we'll see. They're definitely, if you're asking me, can they win? Absolutely. But again, they're going to need to show up and put their best foot forward if they want to get that victory. So that's pretty much it for the recipe for the playoffs, guys. I certainly invite you to go have a look at the article if you want. Like I said, it's up on the reclinersports.ca website. I had hoped earlier in the season to do a little bit more writing, and I haven't really gotten around to doing that. But there are a couple of articles there if you want to check them out. Let me know what you think. I will also say that I do know that there was a comment from Habinations on the last. Let me see if I can find it here. I know you posted a question, Habinations, and I want to see if I can find it. Oh, there's a nice comment there from Habinations. Yeah, I agree with all that, Habinations. I'm not going to read that online. Well, maybe I will. Habinations writes, you seem very even keeled about stuff, not all jumping up and down and saying they won't get in. I find that interesting and unique. Normally it's this guy is terrible or that guy is the next Henri Richard. Henri Richard. Now I have a bit of a problem at that other place I hung out at. I don't want to air out dirty laundry, so I won't. That's the part I kind of didn't want to really read, but I have no problems. Okay, I won't read the rest because I don't want to embarrass you, Habinations. I mean, obviously it's there for anybody to see. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words, and hopefully I can provide you with a place that that does allow for that, more even-keeled approach to it. You're right. I do find it frustrating at times, that Canadiens fans can be very up and down. 1 minute they're planning a Stanley Cup parade, and the next minute they're ready to to fire the entire team or the coach or the general manager or whoever. And so I do try to keep a little bit more of an even keel and look at the team and the game from a bigger perspective. But again, it's up to you, and you're obviously certainly welcome here. And I certainly welcome and would love for you to be a part of what we got going on here. But there was another question here as well. Somebody had, and I didn't get to answer it. Gary Conway. So I don't know that Gary Conway is here. Gary, I apologize. This is from a couple games ago. I don't know if you look at these, but here goes. Torts would be good for a very good team that is underachieving, not kids learning. Habs are a work in progress, and the foundation is looking great. Love your show. Keep it up. Well, thank you, Gary, for that. I get the. Again, I don't want to get too far. It's Torts has been gone for a while now, and I don't think we need to dance on his grave anymore. But I obviously have strong feelings about John Tortorella. I get the concept of him being more of a coach for a veteran team that is, either on the verge of winning or maybe needs a bit of a kick in the pants, to get them over the top. Although I don't even know that he's really any good for that job anymore, because I don't think that his coaching style really translates to the league. I agree with you completely about him not being appropriate to coach younger players, which is why I was perplexed at the idea that Philadelphia would hire him in the first place. I don't know what they were thinking, hiring a coach like that. I didn't get it. I don't think that John Tortorella is a good coach, and I don't think that he's certainly not in a position to be coaching a young team, and I don't think he should be coaching any team at all. But yeah, you're right. The Habs are a work in progress. The foundation is looking great. I think the rebuild is moving at a really nice pace, and certainly things are moving in the right direction. But I agree with you in part regarding Torts, Gary. But I also, I don't agree with you as far as, personally for me, I don't think he has a place in the NHL anymore, even if it is with a veteran team on the verge of winning. I don't think he's suited for the league anymore. Who do we have here? Nick has asked me if I gamble on hockey. I don't really sports bet. Nick, I'm not against it. I just don't really do it. Do I think Torts and St. Louis could have a reunion in Montreal? I sincerely hope not. There aren't very many things that would have me stop cheering for the Montreal Canadiens, but bringing John Tortorella into the coaching staff would really force me to think strongly about cheering for this team anymore. I don't see it happening. Again, I don't think that John Tortorella's coaching style has a place in the league anymore. I think the Canadiens understand that. I think the direction that they went in hiring their coach demonstrates that they're clearly on another wavelength, which is a good thing. And that I don't think that Tortorella fits the culture, the identity they're trying to build. They're obviously moving away from some of the more traditional old school ways of hockey, and I don't think that they should reverse that course. And I think that hiring John Tortorella would be certainly would be a step in the wrong direction. We have a guy on TikTok over here who is a very, very smart hockey fan who says Leafs are better. That's the entirety of his comment. Congratulations, man. You're very, very bright. The Leafs are better. You're right. I don't disagree with you. The Leafs are clearly a better team. They're one of the best teams in the East. They're at a very different stage of their cycle. You would expect them to be better. So I don't know what the purpose of your comment was. I suspect it was a bit of a troll job. But again, it doesn't really bother me to have people suggest that the Toronto Maple Leafs are better. At this very moment, they are a better team. I don't think that anybody with half a brain or any knowledge of hockey would suggest otherwise. That said, I think that the Canadiens are probably in a pretty good spot, or even a better spot, as far as their upward trajectory for the next few years to come. Nick asked me if I wasn't a Montreal fan, who would I support? I probably would support. First of all, I probably wouldn't support a team. I probably would look at more at players, individual players, than supporting a team. In that sense, I probably would kind of lean towards a team like Colorado. I'm a big Nathan MacKinnon fan. I'm a huge Jonathan Drouin fan. I'm really happy to see him having some success. I'm pleased that he's in a good spot, that he's happy, that he's playing well, and that he's working towards living up to his potential. I think that kid has the potential, the ability to be one of the best players in the NHL. I don't know if that ship may have sailed already, given that it took him so long to figure things out a little bit. But I think he's in a good spot, and I think that Colorado would be certainly a fun team to watch and cheer for. Nathan MacKinnon being from Nova Scotia doesn't hurt. My neighbor and good friend is Nathan's second cousin. So we talk quite a bit about the Colorado Avalanche. And so in that sense, I think it would be probably, if I had to cheer for another team, that would be who I would cheer for. So Run With Kings likes my hat. Thank you, Run With Kings. I got this at Wrigley Field last year. My awesome wife was incredible enough to organize a trip for my 50th birthday to Chicago with my two brothers and their partners, as well as some really, really good friends, and we had a blast. We went to a Blackhawks exhibition game, saw them play against the Minnesota Wild, and then we went to Wrigley. Of course, baseball season was over. We didn't get to see a game, but it was cool to see Wrigley anyway. And they were setting up for a football game. They were setting up for a college football game when we were there. So Chicago is a great town, highly underrated. If you get a chance to go there, other than the fact that I don't really want to go to the United States at all right now, I'm probably going to stick on this side of the border for the next 3.5 years at least. But Chicago was a great city. Callis, tu penses comme moi, we could be friends. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean exactly, Mega Mike. I think you're talking about my approach to the Maple Leafs. Again, I'm not a guy who's going to sit here and say, the Canadiens are the greatest thing in the world and every other team sucks. It's not the way I am. It's not the way, I'll ever be, and it's not the kind of show that I want to put on for you guys, right? It's not what it's not my intention. Like, I don't think that's, maybe, there's different kinds of fans, but that's not the kind of fan I am. Like, I mean, I'm perfectly able to recognize that the Maple Leafs are a better team than Montreal right now. That said, I'm very, very happy with the direction the Canadiens are moving into. And honestly, I'd probably be, as far as prospects of winning a cup in the future, I think the Canadiens are probably in a better spot than the Maple Leafs right now. But, that's not to say that the Maple Leafs are bad. I think they are going into the playoffs this year with the best roster that they've had in a long time. But, the question will be whether or not the right players can step up at the right time and whether they can get that playoff monkey off their back. So, sounds like a great birthday. Yes to both of those, Run With Kings. It was a really, really fun time. There's also an incredible tiki bar in Chicago. And for those of you who know me know that I'm a tiki guy as well. I have a tiki bar here in my basement in the other room. When I first started doing these live shows, whether it was on TikTok, not on YouTube, but when it was on TikTok, I was doing them from the tiki bar. So We're getting a lot of questions over on TikTok now, guys. So I'm going to answer some of the questions, guys. If you are on TikTok, I'm certainly willing to answer your questions, but it would be really, really awesome if you would come over and join us on YT. All you have to do is open up your YT app and you go to Recliner Sports 4. If you do that, then you can see all of the graphics and some of the other stuff that we've got going on here on the show. It probably will improve your experience as far as all of that goes. Again, I'm more than happy to answer your questions over here on TikTok, but it just would be, way better for everybody. And again, it helps us grow our community as well if you come over here and subscribe and join the show here. So do I think Montreal could try to get Bedard? No, I don't. One, I don't think they are that. I mean, I shouldn't say they wouldn't be interested. Obviously, anybody would be interested in having a player like Bedard, but what the cost would be is certainly not worth it for them. It doesn't fit, their rebuilding plan. Chicago, I don't expect has any desire to get rid of him. So again, I don't know why that would be even something that anybody would consider. Who else are big targets for them in the offseason? I don't think that they have any real big targets, to be honest with you. I think that I don't think that they're going to be desperate to make any moves in the offseason. If a move comes their way, if the right player comes along that they can get at the right price, I think they'll do that. But I don't think they're going to be out there, big game hunting, looking, desperately to make a trade. I don't think that that's part of the rebuilding plan. I don't think that is Kent Hughes' style. And again, I don't think it's necessary for them to do anything like that. I like Lafreniere, says Happy Nations. Yeah, I like him too. If the right offer were to come around or the right deal were to come around for him, I wouldn't be against having him. But again, he's not, he's a bit of a project. There's no guarantee. I mean, obviously he's got talent. He hasn't lived up to that talent as of yet. If he did, then it would be, great for the Canadiens. But again, I think the price would have to reflect the fact that there's a significant risk with that player, right? It's not like you're getting a player who, there's a high level of certainty that he would, be the guy that everyone thought he was going to be when he was drafted first overall, right? It's not, the price tag would have to reflect the risk associated with that player. Love for McKinnon and Drouin and hate for Trump. That's pretty basic stuff for me, man. That's pretty basic stuff for me, Mega Mike. Leafs won't be better than now. Montreal will grow fast. The Leafs have to figure out what they're doing with their roster and their salary cap. Like they're in a situation right now where they're paying way too much money to not enough players. They've got some really good players at the top level, with Marner, with Matthews, and with Nylander, and they're also paying Tavares up until the end of this year a significant amount of money. They're going to have to decide whether they want to keep Marner in town. I found it absolutely silly that they, were looking to trade Marner for Rantanen, right? Like the whole idea of getting Marner off the books is that you're getting that salary off the books, and you're now, hopefully going to be in a position to balance out your roster a little bit better. So why would you want to trade Marner's contract for Rantanen's contract? I don't get that. It may, I don't believe that the Toronto Maple Leafs are very well managed. I don't think that Brendan Shanahan is a good general manager. I guess that's not technically his title, but it appears to be his show, and he's the one pulling the strings over there. And I really honestly don't think he has any clue what he's doing. So again, I think for if we're talking about the future of Toronto, I think it's more about them figuring out how to create a more balanced roster that will give them a chance to win a Stanley Cup. Do I think the Canadiens will consider offer sheeting Knies? I think they'll consider it. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would expect that Toronto will do everything they can to get Nyes under contract before, offer sheet season comes along. If they don't, I suspect there'll be a number of teams interested in that player. Do I think he's the ideal fit in Montreal? No. I mean, he's obviously a good player, and any team could use him. But on a Stanley Cup contender, where does Matthew Nyes fit? Like, where do you put him in a roster? Is he a top 6 guy? Is he a bottom 6 guy? Is he a middle 6 guy? Like, to me, he's a middle 6 guy. I don't know. I don't know that he is the guy that the Canadiens are necessarily looking for. So I don't know that they would be in that lottery or that derby for Matthew Nyes. Leafs need players that can come alive in the playoffs, says Run with Kings. Yes and no. I think they need players who can allow their best players to come alive in the playoffs, right? I'm not big on the narrative of, Marner and Matthews and Nylander are soft and they're not playoff performers. I think the issue with those guys is that they need people around them in order for them to be their best when it comes playoff time, right? They haven't been great, they haven't been terrible, but they haven't, they certainly, haven't lived up to, their potential as, those are 3 guys who are some of the best players in the world, and they haven't played like some of the best players in the world in the playoffs. But I don't think that's necessarily a situation of them being soft or not playoff performers or whatever. I think it's more of a matter that they're forced into a scenario where they're forced to carry the load, and they don't have the right people around them to support them and to allow them to be their best, I guess, if I could say that. Born to be a Hab, welcome. I think you're new here. I haven't seen you before, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome, and thank you for coming. If you would like to subscribe, that would be amazing. We would appreciate it, but thank you for being here, and thank you for your question. In trading for second line center, I would keep Hage and Jack-Eye off the table. On the table, first rounder Matheson, Roy, and Mailloux. Yeah, I don't disagree with that sentiment. I'm not sure I would have Matheson on the table right now. I think that Matheson's contributions to this team is vastly underrated. I think people really, really underestimate how important he is to the team and what he's, what he brings as far as, eating up minutes, playing on the penalty kill, playing on the power play. Obviously he has the ability to do some pretty ugly looking things on the ice, and we've seen that. But he also has the ability to do some pretty special things on the ice. There was a period there a couple of weeks ago where he played, consecutive games against McKinnon, McDavid, Barkov, Kadri. There's one other big name on there too. And basically shut them all down, right? Didn't allow them any real number of points. Outscored them, outchanced them, out-expected goal, all that stuff, right? And I think that Matheson is still a pretty valuable player to the team. Roy, I think if you could get a good return for Roy, I wouldn't be completely against that. I think I probably would agree with Mailloux too, although I still want to see what Mailloux can do at the NHL level. I don't feel like, obviously he's had his chances and he hasn't, taken advantage of them yet, as has Roy. Like, I think they're both in the same boat. But again, they're both still young, and, not everybody, lights the world on fire, their first time around, like Lane Hudson is doing. Some guys, need to go up and down a few times before they really, especially, defensemen, right? Defensemen are, it's not common for guys to excel in the NHL when they're, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, which is, again, another reason why Jack-Eye, I think people are, underestimating what he's accomplishing, especially as a kid who, was undrafted both in junior and in the NHL. So Run with Kings, I don't think they're soft, but they seem like they aren't the best at adapting, adjusting with each game played. Yeah, I could see that. But again, I think it's, to me, it's about surrounding them with the right guys. You have to surround them with, you look at, teams that succeed in the playoffs. It's not just the big stars that do it, right? It's some of the other guys too that help out, that contribute and make it easier for them to play the kind of game that they're able to. So listen, guys, let's get to what I think is going to be a fun part of the show here tonight. I want to do my choices for the various NHL awards, and I want to do this with you guys because I think this will be fun. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go through all of the awards one by one. I'm going to start with the Adams, then we'll do the Vezina, then we'll do the Norris, we'll do the Calder, and we'll do finally the Hart Trophy, the MVP award. So why don't we do it this way? I will, now I'll open up the comments to you guys to who are your choices for the different awards. And again, we'll start with the Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year, and maybe you guys can post in the comments who your picks are, and then I will reveal who my picks are, and then we can go from there. If you're over on TikTok, guys, it would be a lot better if you were over on YT. Come on over here, subscribe, open up your YT app, join the channel, get in the comments. You'll be able to see the graphics. Certainly with my picks, you'll see the names of the players that I have picked. So I've picked the winner, and I've also picked the two runner-ups, or the runners-up. And again, if you're over on TikTok, you're not going to be able to see the choices that I made. But if you come over here, you'll be able to see the graphics, and you'll be able to see who we've picked. So si vous voulez nous joindre ici à YT, vous pouvez voir les graphiques avec les choix pour chaque trophée, les trophées de la LNH, pour le Adams Award, le Vezina, le Norris, le Calder et le Hart. Alors, c'est le premier Adams, c'est pour l'entraîneur de l'année. Le Vezina, c'est pour le meilleur gardien. Le Norris, c'est pour le meilleur défenseur. Le Calder, c'est pour le recrue de l'année. Et le Hart, c'est pour le joueur le plus utile, the MVP. I did not do the Selke Award, guys, and that's because I've lost all faith in the Selke Award. It no longer goes to the best defensive forward in the league. It's been completely bastardized by the voters, which I believe is the media. And it's just, it's a shadow of its former self. It doesn't go to the right person anymore. So I chose to stay away from it. Dread Zeppelin, great name. Every NHL season needs a few playoff games in Montreal. Montreal is one of the greatest places in the world to be when the Canadiens are in the playoffs. I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. If you've never been there, you definitely need to experience it. You have to see what it's like. The city is electric. It's a buzz. You can feel it. The terraces are all open. Game day, it's just, you can just feel an energy in the city that is, amazing. And I don't think there's any better place in hockey to be in that scenario. What's up, Mav? So again, guys, I don't see anybody commenting on their picks for the Jack Adams Award. Can I assume that you guys don't have any opinions about that? And that I should just move on to showing you who my choices are? I mean, I would much rather hear from you guys. So what I ideally would like to do is have you guys give me your thoughts, and then I will post my picks, and then you guys can tell me, if I completely screwed up, or if you agree with me, or otherwise. So Big Tuna says Carberry first, Arneal second, Montgomery third. Bear says Spencer Carberry. Mav says Jack Adams. I think Carberry in Washington has a decent chance. Yep. That's awesome, guys. So TikTok is giving us some answers, guys. Like I said, guys, if you want to see the graphics, you're going to have to come over to YT. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to show the graphics on TikTok, but if you do come over to YT, the channel is Recliner Sports 4. You can pop over here and you'll be able to see who my picks are. And I guess I'll reveal them to you here now. There we go, guys. So I have, for my NHL awards, for the Jack Adams Award, I have Spencer Carberry winning the award, Washington Capitals head coach. Again, he's taken them on a spectacular run this year. They are the, right now, regular season best team in the NHL. I don't think there's anybody who can legitimately tell me that they believed that that was a possibility at the beginning of the season. And he's done really, really well. My runners-up are Marty St. Louis and Dean Evison. Thank you, Mac. Thank you for subscribing over on YT. I appreciate it. I think Dean Evison, again, I think that, next to the Capitals, I think that the Columbus Blue Jackets are probably the best story in the NHL. Not only have they, done a ton with what they have, they've also, done it under some extraordinary circumstances. It's a great story. I mean, obviously, very sad story with the Goudreau brothers passing away in the offseason. It certainly wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility for the Blue Jackets to struggle and mail it in a little bit this year, and they haven't done that. So I have Dean Evison. Frankly, I didn't have high hopes for Dean Evison as their coach this year. I didn't think he was an ideal pick for a young team like that, but he's done a really good job, and he is, one of my runners-up. The other runner-up is Marty St. Louis. Again, some will probably say that this is a bit of a homer pick by me, and perhaps it is. But again, I just feel that the progress and the development that the Canadiens have made from last year to this year, and even sort of within this year, the approach that Marty St. Louis has taken to coaching this young team, listening to him give interviews, his philosophies on coaching, I think is pretty special. I think he's kind of, revolutionizing the way coaching is done in the NHL, and he's allowing the league to move away from some of the more traditional approaches to coaching, and I'm super happy to see it, and I think he definitely deserves consideration for Coach of the Year this year. I don't know about Jim Montgomery. I find it hard to give it to a guy who was fired during the season. I get that, he has clearly demonstrated with what he's done in St. Louis that he's a good coach, and that, the issue in Boston was probably not with him. However, I don't see him ahead of Evison and or St. Louis, and certainly not ahead of Carberry. Arneal in Winnipeg, I guess, would be an option. Again, I think he walked into a pretty good situation there. I think it's probably a bit of a tradition to give the Jack Adams Award to a coach who coaches a team that does better than expected. I don't know that Arneal fits in that scenario. But yeah, Green deserves some votes. Yeah, I'm going to take a pass on Green. I don't think that Green has... I don't think that the Senators... I mean, obviously the Senators making the playoffs is big news, but it's only big news because they've underachieved so much in years past. I don't think they've played especially well this year. Obviously, they've improved from last year. But this is a team that, is good enough to make the playoffs. They've been good enough to make the playoffs. And the fact that they're, squeaking into a wild card spot, or they're in a wild card spot, I don't think is an indication of any type of great coaching. Mav has made it over here. What's going on, Mav? Dean has done great. Does St. Louis get any down votes? Never mind, I'm already on it. I don't think anyone that was fired deserves Jack Adams. I agree with that as well, especially since the Blues have not lit the NHL on fire. Well, they've been really good lately, and I think he's done a good job there. But again, I don't know that that's a reason to consider him for the Coach of the Year. Zach Bolduc is super good. I like St. Louis a bit. So next up, guys, we've got to do the Vezina Trophy. So why don't you let me know who your Vezina choices are. You can post them here in the comments. If you're over on TikTok, again, you can come on over and join us over on YT if you want to see the graphics. Si vous voulez nous joindre à YT, vous pouvez venir ici pour voir les graphiques. Si vous avez des choix pour le trophée Vézina, pour le meilleur gardien de but dans la LNH, vous pouvez les noter dans les commentaires. Je pense que la décision n'est pas difficile ici, mais je pense que c'est beaucoup plus proche que la plupart des personnes en pensent. I think it's a lot closer. I think the choice here is pretty obvious, but I would certainly indicate to you guys that it's pretty close. It's a lot closer than a lot of people think. A lot closer than people think. So I see Hellebuck is being mentioned on TikTok. Run with King says Hellebuck. Maverick says Hellebuck is the choice. I think Wolf gets some down votes and maybe cracks the top 3. I don't have Wolf in my top 3. Big Tuna says Hellebuck, Thompson, and Wolf. I think you guys are missing out on the guy who I think makes it very close, and I seriously considered picking this guy over Connor Hellebuck. I seriously considered picking him over Connor Hellebuck, and it was not a troll. It was not a clickbait. I will explain to you in a minute. I think there's a guy who's very, very close to Hellebuck. Maverick says Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, and Wolf finish top 3. There you go. So there's your number 2 guy. I have Hellebuck winning with Vasilevsky and Philip Gustafsson at number 3. In case you're wondering, everybody thinks that Connor Hellebuck is head and shoulders, far and away the runaway pick for the Vezina Award. Hellebuck's record is 43-11. Vasilevsky's is 36-19. Vasilevsky has played slightly more minutes. He's played about 40 more minutes this year than Vasilevsky, and his save percentage is only 2 points lower than Hellebuck. Hellebuck's save percentage is .924. Vasilevsky's is .922. I think you would argue that Vasilevsky is playing on probably not as good a team as Hellebuck is. He doesn't have the support. So I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people think. Like if you listen to the national podcast, whether you listen to Saravalli or Friedman, like these guys are talking as if it's a foregone conclusion. And I think they're probably right in the sense that it is Hellebuck's award and he's probably earned it. But the idea that there's nobody even close and that there's no discussion to be had here, I don't think is right. Maverick says, not head and shoulders, but he has a lead. Vazzy has been underrated this season because he has had has led a lesser Tampa team to great success. Yeah, 100%. I don't think that, certainly the defensive side of Tampa's game is not at the same level as Winnipeg's, and Vasilevsky has essentially the same numbers. Goals saved above average, they're essentially the same. If you go to Hockey Reference and you look at point share, Hellebuck has a marginal lead. So again, I think that Hellebuck is definitely the choice, especially if you're making the decision today. But again, I don't think that Vasilevsky is substantially behind him. Philip Gustafsson, again, really, really impressive numbers on a team that has, struggled with injuries this year. He's got a .917 save percentage. I think that's third in the NHL. He hasn't played nearly as many games as Vasilevsky and Hellebuck, but he's a clear number 1 in Minnesota, and he's been a bit of a bedrock there for those guys in a season where their best players have missed time, and they've struggled. And he's been a pretty solid guy back there for them. Thompson's obviously a choice as well. He's played significantly less games. He's only played 41 games this year. So he's, 15, 16, 17 games less than Hellebuck and Vasilevsky. He's about 12 games less than, or 10 games less than Gustafsson. Gustafsson's got, better stats, better numbers than he does. Obviously, Gustafsson's playing in a much more difficult situation than Thompson is this year. Thompson deserves some downvotes. I think Wolf bringing Calgary into bubble teams is more impressive than Thompson taking a revamped Caps team to first. Yeah, I don't have Wolf there. I'm this might be controversial to some people, but Wolf hasn't really been that great over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously what he's done is special. You don't see rookie goaltenders do the kind of things that he's done. He brought them into contention to a certain degree, but I think the idea that he has carried them to a place where they have a chance to make the playoffs, I think that narrative is overplayed. I don't think I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of other guys who are in that discussion. There's guys on that team who have played well, certainly better than expected, and helped with bring that team to where they are. I don't think it's been all about Dustin Wolf. I'm trying to bring up some stats here. Yeah, it's not. They don't score a lot of goals. Their defense, Mackenzie Weegar's been important for that team this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm downplaying Dustin Wolf more than I ought to, but we'll see. Kemper, I don't know that I have Kemper in the conversation run with Kings. He's obviously performed above expected. I think he's been a big part of why the Kings have been better than people perhaps predicted that they would be this year. He's a guy who's had some ups and downs in his career, obviously, and he's kind of gone unnoticed. But I'm not saying that I don't think he doesn't deserve consideration. I just don't think he's I don't think he's on the level with Vasilevsky and or Gustafsson. So next up, guys, we're going to do the Norris Award. Who do you have for your Norris Award selection, guys? Is there a consensus amongst you guys? What's up, Bully? Canes destroying the Caps right now. I think it's 4-0, is it not, Michael Proctor? Who is our choice for the Norris top defenseman in the NHL? Do we have any consensus? Any clear winners here? I think it's a pretty close race. I think there's 3 pretty obvious choices. Bear says Makar, Hughes, and Hudson. Okay. I think you're largely right there. I do think that Hudson deserves some consideration here, but I don't know that he's in the top 3. I think he definitely will be for a number of years to come. I just don't know that he's ahead. I think there's 3 guys who are probably still ahead of him as of right now. Makar, Hughes, and D'Angelo. Well, as soon as they have an award for the dickhead of the year, I think that Tony D'Angelo will certainly get a lot of consideration for that. As far as the Norris Trophy goes, I don't see Tony D'Angelo getting a ton of consideration now or in the future. Call me sheep. Welcome. So what do you think, guys? If you're over on TikTok, come join us on YT. You can see the graphics. You can see the the graphics that go along with this conversation, that go along with our conversation about the Norris Trophy. The Norris Trophy, of course, going to the NHL's best defenseman. If you guys have any thoughts as to who you would have in that spot, Big Tuna says Makar, Werenski, and Quinn Hughes. So Born to be a Hab says Makar and Hudson. And I will publish my choices here. I will hit the button, and you'll see that Big Tuna and I agree. Makar, Werenski, and Hughes. I considered seriously putting Werenski in this spot, even though I don't really like the player, or I don't like the person. He's had a really good year. He's been a huge part of what's been going on in Columbus. He's been a steady force for them all year round. He's played, I think he's played every game. I don't think he's missed a game, whereas, they've lost a lot of man games to injury over there. We spoke earlier about the fact that they're playing well above expectations. You don't know how to join, Bear? It's easy, man. You just got to go open up YT. That stands for YouTube. And you've got to go and you search Recliner Sports 4. And you will find my channel and you will find the show. It will say live in the bottom right-hand corner. And you'll just click on it. And there it is. Easy as pie. Brock Collins says Makar, Hughes, and Slavin. I don't know that Slavin's in that conversation. So again, getting back to Werenski, I think he's been a huge part of, as far as, the contributions that he makes to his team. I think he's probably on a level ahead of Makar. But again, Cale Makar, 85 points in 75 games. He's a plus 28. He's averaging, well over a point per game. I think that's pretty hard to ignore. Quinn Hughes as well. He's averaging even more. He's got 70 points in 60 games. He's, his point per game pace is even better than Makar's. Unfortunately, he's missed a number of games this year due to injury, which again, has kind of helped his argument for, his value to his team. Because when he's not on their team, they're certainly not anywhere near as good as they are when he is. But again, I think Makar has gotten to the point now where he's such an obvious choice that you kind of look for reasons to choose somebody else. But in this case, I think it's pretty hard to go with anybody else other than Cale Makar. Other guys that I gave some thought to, Lane Hudson obviously I think deserves some consideration. He's got 62 points in 74 games. He's at more than 0.8 points per game for a rookie 20-year-old defenseman is incredible. But it's incredible for any defenseman, really. Like, he's fourth in the league in scoring amongst defensemen. He is tied with Makar in assists with 57. People will point to his -6 plus-minus rating without considering the fact that 12 of the goals that he's allowed, or 12, he's been on the ice for 12 empty net goals against. Right, so if you take away the 12 empty net goals that he has, been on the ice for, then all of a sudden his -6 becomes a +6, and I see players comparing him to Jake Sanderson. Ottawa Senators fans love to think that Jake Sanderson is a better defenseman than Lane Hudson. The reality is it's not even close. It's not even a conversation. Jake Sanderson has 12 fewer points than Lane Hudson this year, and he's a -16. And I can assure you that Jake Sanderson has not been on the ice for anywhere near 12 empty net goals against. He also, by the way, is in his third full season in the NHL, and Lane Hudson is in his first season in the NHL. So any concept from Ottawa Senators fans that Jake Sanderson, or any fan, that Jake Sanderson is anywhere near the level of Lane Hudson is just, it's you're kidding yourself. Again, Lane Hudson has a lot of room to grow, and so does Jake Sanderson, and they both have long careers ahead of them, And, a lot could happen, good, bad, or otherwise, for both of those guys. And, you'd be a fool to try and say, predict what will happen down the road with those guys. But, if you have any inclination to suggest that right now Jake Sanderson's a better defenseman in the NHL than Lane Hutson, then you're fully out to lunch. You're fully out to lunch. Why are you here, Alex? Why do you even come in here? You obviously don't like me. You don't like my show. You don't like my ideas, and you repeatedly tell me that in private messages. But yet here you are, continuing to show up and ask me questions and be in my comments. Makar Hudson is going to get the Habs into the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think he's doing that on his own, but he certainly, at 20 years old, is a huge contributor to that effort. Born to be a Hab, and that is a pretty special thing, right? Lane Hutson is doing not just great things in the NHL. He's doing historical things, right? He's in conversations with names like Raymond Bourque and Phil Housley and Nicholas Lidstrom and Chris Chelios. Like these are the names that he's in conversation with. Who cares, Alex? Who cares if the Red Sox are better than the Yankees? Who cares? He's doing historic things, right? He is right now seventh all-time for most points by a rookie defenseman with 8 games left in the season. He has 62 points, 5 goals, and 57 assists. And the all-time record is 76 points. Larry Murphy in 1980-81. So all of these numbers that we're talking about are guys from more than 25, 30, 35 years ago, right? Like nobody has had the last guy to have numbers better than Lane Hutson as a rookie defenseman in the NHL was back in 1988-89. Right? These are going back into the days where, guys were getting 200 points. Wayne Gretzky was putting up 200 and some points. Mario Lemieux was doing the same. He's doing special things. Alex, I don't know why you're still here, man. You want to write nasty things to me in private messages, but then you want to come on the show and you want to, pretend like you're a nice guy or something. I don't get it. Why the change of heart, Alex? Why the change of heart? All right, guys, how about the Calder? This is the one that everyone's probably been waiting for. Certainly all the Canadiens fans have been waiting for. I have a hater. I do. I have a few haters, Habination. This is a guy who was in my private messages a few weeks ago telling me that I'm stupid and so on and so forth, and that I don't know what I'm talking about, and blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden he's asking me questions in TikTok as if, we're best friends or something. I don't get it. All right, guys, what do we think? Calder Award. What are your thoughts on the Calder Award before I reveal my choices? I think I think I've kind of tipped my hand a little bit as far as, who my winner is. I think there might be some controversy about who my 2 runner-ups are or runners-up are. Big Tuna as Hudson, Celebrini, I think he means to say, and Wolf. Brock Cullen says Hudson, Celebrini, and Wolf, or Michkov. Yeah, I agree there. Born to be a Hab says Hudson. Born to be a Hab says Hudson was on the second power play unit at the beginning of the year. If he was on the first unit at the beginning, he would have better numbers. Maybe. That second power play did very well at the beginning of the year, and he got lots of points while he was on that second power play. I think that second power play, was good for his development and allowed him to move seamlessly into the first power play. So again, I'm not gonna associate or give a ton of points for that, but yeah, it is Habination. Again, it's why I prefer this platform than some of the others. How do they vote with Wolf? How do they vote with Wolf? I don't understand what you mean, Rob. I don't understand what you mean. So we have my choices here, guys. I have Lane Hutson winning, and I have Michkov and Celebrini as the runners-up. I think Hutson for me is obvious. I really do think that he's just been that great. Like I said, he's not just doing special things, he's doing historical things. He's doing things that haven't been done in 30, 40, 50 years. In some cases, he has a chance to do even more than that, right? Like if he even gets, a point per game, which again sounds crazy to even, throw that out there as a, that flippantly, but he's got 3 points in each of his last 2 games. If he gets a point per game, he ends up at 72 points, which puts him second all time most points by a defenseman, rookie defenseman in the NHL. Bear says Hutson. Leonard Skinnard says Lane Hutson for sure number 1. Yeah. I picked Michkov and Celebrini. In fact, I even have Michkov ahead of Celebrini. Honestly, I think Michkov over the last little while has been really, really good. Even before Tortorella was fired, but certainly since Tortorella was fired, he's been really, really good. Everyone talks about Lane Hutson's plus-minus numbers and how he's not, ideal defensively. Has anybody had a look at Macklin Celebrini's plus-minus? I know plus-minus is not a great stat, and I'm not, purporting that, it should be a real serious consideration here, but has anyone looked at Macklin Celebrini's plus-minus? Does anybody know what it is? Can somebody? I know what it is. I'm interested if you guys know what it is. It's not very good, and it's again, it's not as good as Matvei Michkov, and I think that in the long run, I think that Celebrini will probably be the better NHLer when everything's said and done. But that's not what this award is, right? That's not what this award is. This award is for the best rookie this year. It's not for who's going to be the best player, who's the best prospect, who's the best, whatever. It's for whoever was the best rookie this year. And if you look at the numbers, you could make a really good argument for Michkov's numbers being better than Celebrini's. I know it's not all about the numbers, and I think a lot of what Celebrini brings and what will probably make him the better player in the long run, is beyond the numbers. He's a minus 32, Big Tuna. Macklin Celebrini is a minus 32 this year. That's not great. And you can say, well, he's on a bad team. Well, Will Smith is a minus 14. He plays on the same team. Now, Celebrini's probably getting tougher minutes than Will Smith is. He's probably playing against, tougher competition. I get all of that. But, they've played, Will Smith has played 4 more games than Macklin Celebrini on the very same team. And, his plus minus is substantially better. Will Smith's time on ice is 15:28 and Macklin Celebrini's is 19:50. So he's playing roughly, 4 minutes more, 4.5 minutes more per game is Celebrini. So, again, it's just hard to ignore that number. Michkov, by the way, is a minus 13. He's playing about 16 and a half minutes per game, and probably obviously not playing against the same type of competition as Celebrini, and certainly is not on as I think Philadelphia probably has a better team than San Jose does all around. So I have no problem putting Michkov ahead of Celebrini, especially given what Michkov has done over the last month or so. But Lane Hudson is the clear choice, and he's got 9 points in his last 5 games. Let me see if I can even go further back than that. Yeah, he's got 9 points in his last 5 games. In his last 5 games, he's a +5. His time on ice is right around, I don't know what it is for the season. It is he's averaging almost 23 minutes a game, 22:40. Yeah. As far as not having Wolf there, I think it's hard to give it to a goalie. I think that Wolf has struggled of late. He has not been ideal for the last, let's see here. Game logs. So in his last number of games, so his last game was a loss to Utah, but his save percentage was .926. The game before that, he was at .897. The game before that, he was a .778. The game before that, he was at .897. The game before that, he was at .897. The game before that, he was at .808. And the game before that, he was at .889. So in 6 of his last 7 games, his save percentage has been under 9. And in some of those games, substantially under 9. So, he's kind of struggled into the final stretch. What's up, Nicholas? Welcome and thank you for coming by. I appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't done so yet, guys, hit that thumbs up button and see if we can get some likes here. So that's the conversation on the Calder Award, and the last one, of course, is the MVP, the Hart Trophy. I don't know what your thoughts are. Ben Le Fantastique, Hudson has 50 more points than the second rookie D-man point leader, 100%. He is head and shoulders above any other rookie defenseman. It's not even close. It's not even a conversation. So, yeah. Merci beaucoup, Ben. If you want to come and join us on YT, guys, it's pretty easy. All you do is just hit that your YT app. Come on over here, look up Recliner Sports 4, and you can join the channel, join the show, and be part of the conversation. You'll also be able to check out the graphics that we've put together for tonight's show. And if I do say so myself, they're pretty cool graphics. They took some time to do, but they look pretty nice. So any thoughts on the Hart Trophy? Brock says Draisaitl, McKinnon, and Hellebuck. I am on a different page than you, kind of, Brock. Not completely, but kind of. I have one of those guys on my list. One of those guys is on my list. Any thoughts, guys, before I put up my winners and my runners, my winner and my runners up? Anyone else? All right, there it is, guys. So for me, I have Draisaitl as the MVP right now. My runners-up are Cale Makar and Nikita Kucherov. I think Cale Makar has been every bit the contributor to the Colorado Avalanche this year as Nathan McKinnon has, if not more so. I'm willing to say it. 85 points as a defenseman. He's just been spectacular. He's, I don't know what more to say. Like he has contributed to that team. I mean, obviously you can make the argument that, having a guy, being on the same team with Nathan McKinnon, excludes you from being considered for most valuable player. I guess if you are going to take the contributions to a team into account, but I mean, you could make the same argument about Draisaitl and McDavid. So, Makar is a plus 28. He's got 85 points as a defenseman. He's got 11 more points than any other defenseman in the league. He's not the best plus minus in the league, but he's in the top 10 over some, more defensive style defensemen. Thomas Harley has had a pretty good year too, incidentally, if you're wondering. But yeah, Nikita Kucherov. So I don't have Hellebuck there. I'm not a big fan of giving this award to a goalie. One, because he, doesn't play every day. I think there's a bunch of reasons why I don't have him there. I just think that the way that Draisaitl contributes to that team, they're just more valuable players to their team. Nicholas says Cooch has been on a mission. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets it in the end. Yeah, he's been on a real run lately, right? He's been on a tear, in the last little while. Let me see if I can bring up his numbers of late. Nikita Kucherov, game logs, 2, 4, 8, 10, 14. 2, 6, 10, 13, 2, 6, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19. 19 points in his last 9 games. 2, 4, 10, 13, 14 points in his last 5 games. So he's been on a real tear. He's taken over the NHL's scoring lead. He now leads Nathan MacKinnon by a single point, even though he's played 5 fewer games. His defensive game has improved. He's a plus 22. Right. So people will call him, the proverbial argument that, some more casual fans will make about him being a power play merchant. He is still third in the league when it comes to even strength points behind MacKinnon and Draisaitl, and he's only 2 points behind Draisaitl and 3 behind MacKinnon. So biased, I'm an Oilers fan. Great list. I was going to put Kucherov, Ovechkin, 3 goals to go. Did he score another one, Emil? Nice. So those are my choices, guys. Draisaitl, Makar, Kucherov. So just to go back and review, guys, we have the Adams Award. We have Carberry, St. Louis, and Evison. For the Vezina, we have Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, and Gustafsson. For the Norris, we have Makar, Werenski, and Hughes. For the Calder, we have Hudson, Michkov, and Celebrini. And finally, for the MVP, for the Hart Award, we have Draisaitl, Makar, and Kucherov. So let me know if you agree with all of that, guys. If you disagree, if you're watching on a replay, guys, feel free to comment and let us know who your picks are. Let us know if I've, totally screwed it up. If there's guys that I totally missed or guys that I picked that have no business being there, feel free to let me know. En français ou en anglais, si vous êtes d'accord avec mes choix, si vous avez des choix différents, si vous pensez que j'ai oublié quelqu'un ou j'ai choisi quelqu'un qui ne devrait pas être là, vous pouvez donner un commentaire. Si vous regardez l'émission dans un replay, j'aimerais bien vous avoir vos commentaires, vos suggestions, et j'aimerais avoir une conversation à ce sujet. So that's the whole idea behind doing this, guys, is to start a conversation with you guys. Look what happened to Stamkos with Kucherov. I think that's pretty predictable. A lot of people were very high on Nashville at the beginning of the year. If you were around to listen to me talk, I wasn't. I knew that Stamkos would struggle. away from Kucherov, and not just away from Kucherov, but away from the Tampa Bay power play in general. You did make it here, Bear. Welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Now the only thing you have to do is there's a little button down here that says subscribe. All you got to do is just hit that button, and then you're all set. Suzuki for Selke, yeah, I think he definitely deserves consideration. I don't know that he'll get it. But I think he definitely deserves consideration for it. So anyways, guys, that's we're almost done the show, but I did want to have a quick chat with you guys about this young man right here. I know that this has been a topic of conversation in Montreal Canadiens land of late. What's going on with Jacob Fowler, and why is he not signed up yet? What's the delay? What's taking so long? Why haven't they made a deal? There's obviously different people online who are saying different things, whether it's Cam Robinson at Elite Prospects suggesting that there's fire or there's smoke going around the idea that Fowler may be considering staying at Boston College for another season and not signing with the Montreal Canadiens, whether it's Pierre Lebrun telling us not to panic, and that, this is just part of the process, and that there's no rush in order to get Fowler into the fold with the Canadiens, and that, the Laval Rocket are currently on the West Coast, or actually in Winnipeg right now, and so there's no rush to get him, signed, because, there's just no rush. That's not really what I want to talk about. That's not really what's important. I think what's probably happening is that they're negotiating and they're trying to figure out what's best for him. Obviously, from his perspective, financially, signing an ELC and burning that first year would be a priority, one of the priorities for him. However, doing so, I believe, I'm quite certain, would eliminate his ability to play for Laval. So I think at this point there needs to be a choice made. Between, whether he, I think his best, for development's sake, his best, place is to be in Laval. Given that the Canadiens are in a playoff race at the moment, I don't think there's any real sense in is he going to get into a game? Maybe if the Canadiens run off 6 wins in a row and end up, 3, 4, 5 points clear of the next best team, in the wild card, yeah, you can throw him in a meaningless game, but I don't see him getting any significant ice time with the Canadiens, or even a start with the Canadiens. And, I think it would be great for his development to go to Laval and to be able to be a part of that team for their playoff push. And then, when they are in the playoffs, he could be the backup to Caden Primo. And I think that would be a great spot for him. It's all speculation, Nicholas. Fowler has made no comments. Again, it's kind of, I hesitate, I hesitate to even bring up those rumors, because I know that a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans, sort of, don't really grasp the difference between rumors and speculation and fact. Unless you hear it from the horse's mouth, you've got to consider that, it's all just rumor. And the reality is I don't think any decision's been made here. And this is exactly what you would expect, right? I think they're negotiating, and I think they're going back and forth. And I think that they're trying to figure out the best option. And, I guess the only thing that really bothers me here is if Fowler and his people are insisting that he stay with the Canadiens, or that, he sign an ELC. Because frankly, I don't think that's in his best interest. Yeah, it's great, and from a financial perspective, I think the Canadiens probably don't have much of an issue with him burning a year of his first contract. They've shown no hesitation to do that in the past. They did it, most recently with Lane Hudson. It's not, not an issue for them. But I think for them, I think the bigger issue is that I think they really see a benefit in him finishing the year in Laval, and what that could bring to his development and bring to making him a better goaltender down the road. Umeki says, even if Fowler goes back to BC, it will be good as well. All the top players have signed. Good for him to put a mediocre team on his back. Yeah, I don't know that Boston College will ever be mediocre. They may not be as good or as stacked as they were this year, but they're always pretty good at recruiting, and they'll have a good team. I agree with you that it wouldn't be the end of the world if he did go back there. I think that it would be, obviously there's always benefits to the NCAA, being a weekend league where they play, the vast majority of their games on the weekend. It opens up your weekdays, for training, off ice stuff, and on ice stuff, and it gives you an opportunity to really get a lot of practice and development in. That said, I don't know that there's a whole lot for Jacob Fowler to do at that level anymore. He's proven more than capable of dominating the NCAA, this year with a .940 save percentage. And again, it wasn't a scenario where he was facing, 15 or 16 shots a night. He was facing a significant number of shots on goal. It wasn't like he was just having an easy time out there. He was playing very, very well. He's definitely had 2 solid seasons in the NCAA, and he's improved significantly, into that first season and then into this season as well. So I don't know that there's really much left for him to prove at that level. I'm not going to get into the conversation about, the rumors of, what he says that he wants to do, or what he says he's going to go back or whatever. I think that the reality is that he probably, there's some conversation going on about, what happens with his entry-level contract. How old is Fowler? I believe he is 20. Because I think it was interesting because they showed him last night at the Washington Bruins game for Ryan Leonard's debut with the Capitals, and he was in the stands drinking a beer, and I saw a number of people commenting that he's not 21 years old. And I believe he's also, incidentally, at the Rangers game tonight to watch his other teammate, Gabe Perreault, make his NHL debut tonight. Is Hudson the front runner for the Calder Trophy? I think he is now, Mike. I mean, he certainly is for me. I think he's the runaway choice for that award right now. But yeah, if you would have been here earlier, unfortunately, you missed the conversation. We did go through all of the awards, but I would certainly invite you to go and watch the replay on YT, and you can see who we picked or who I picked for my awards and the conversation that we had about the Adams Award, the Vezina Award, the Norris, the Calder, and the Hart Trophy. Boy, that Leonard kid is going to be another Kachuk. Yeah, could be. Habination has concerns about Fowler. What are your concerns, Habination, about Fowler? I think we'll maybe end on this because we've been running a little bit long here. We started a little bit late, but what are your concerns about Fowler? I don't know what you could possibly have to be concerned about at this stage. So, Umeki, he will go to Laval. Connor Hughes wants out. Teams overseas are interested in him again. So Primo Fowler duo. Again, I don't know how you could possibly know that he will go to Laval. I think that's the best place for him. I'm not sure I haven't heard much about the interest in Hughes to go back to Europe. I do think that, I don't think he'll have much choice because I think that the Canadiens are going to be far more interested in having Jacob Fowler as their backup in Laval than Connor Hughes. He seems to be a phenom, but he didn't go far in the playoffs this year. I assumed he would be Roy-like. Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can blame on their early exit from the playoffs on Fowler. Their defense or their offense pretty much went to sleep in those games, those elimination games. I want to say that the game that eliminated them from the Frozen Four, They lost. I want to just check this out. I want to get this right. Where is it? Denver. So they lost, 3-1 to Denver with an empty net goal. So again, I'm not. Whoa, what's going on here? Let's not do that again. Um, he. I want to look at his stats from that game for Boston College. Jacob Fowler. Yeah, he made 22 saves, allowed 2 goals. So it was a 3-1 game. It was basically a 2-1 game in that game, and I want to see the game that they got beaten out by Northeastern. I thought was Boston College Northeastern. Hockey East. Yeah, so that was the same. It was another 3-1 game with an empty netter. So he stopped in that game. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to. He stopped 17 of 19 shots in that game. So, the offense kind of went away on him there. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And I think he certainly has stolen games, but it's hard to steal games when your team only scores 1 goal, right? Like you can't, a 1-0 shutout is great, but that's pretty hard to come by. His numbers on the season were pretty special. Again, I get it, but I don't think you need to be really that worried. I mean, last year he finished with a 32-6-1 record with 3 shutouts, a 214 goals against average, and a 926 save percentage. This year the team wasn't as good. He played 35 games. He went 25-7-2, 7 shutouts, a 163 goals against average, and a 940 save percentage. So again, I'm not going to say that he's a can't miss. I mean, any prospect can miss, but I don't think he's really shown us anything to be concerned about yet. Primo had good stats in college too, not like this, but he did. You're right. So did Jacob Dobesh. So did a lot of guys. Again, I'm not here pretending that he's a can't miss prospect and that there's no chance that he doesn't make it. There's obviously a huge chance that he doesn't make it. Not all prospects succeed, and especially goalies, are hard to predict. But again, I don't know that there's been any real cause for concern, in his game as of yet. So we will see in the next few days what comes of Jacob Fowler and his decision. Again, for me, I think the perfect situation would be for him to go to Laval and finish the year there. I think that's probably best for him. It's best for his development. I don't know how the Canadiens sweeten the pot and sort of make up for the fact that, again, I think they would in a perfect world allow him to, use up a year of his entry-level contract and go to Laval, but I don't think that the rules allow for that to happen. I don't think Montreal has any problem financially with that decision. I think their bigger issue with that decision is whether it's the best option for his development or not. Go number 2. I kind of do have to go number 2, Antoine. Is that what you're? As soon as the show's over, I might go number 2. Anyways, probably a little bit too much information. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for the show for tonight. I do appreciate everybody for coming. It's been fun, other than the panic and the chaos at the beginning of the show or leading up to the show, where I had to redo all of my graphics in half an hour when I thought I had much more time than that. It was great. I enjoyed it. Sorry, guys, I just zoned out there for a second. It was fun talking about the NHL awards with you guys. Hopefully we can get some more people in here in future shows and get a little bit more comments going. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. The button is down below. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, there's 8 people watching and we've got 7 thumbs up. So there's at least one of you watching right now who hasn't hit the thumbs up button, probably more than that. If you are enjoying the content, please hit that button. If you're watching in a replay, also subscribe. We're trying to grow a community here where we can talk about the Canadiens intelligently and civilly and avoid some of the pitfalls of the internet. And if that's something that's interesting to you, then I certainly invite you to subscribe, to hit the notification bell, and to give us a thumbs up. Again, our goal is to get to 500 subscribers. It's a bit of a slow pace getting there, but we're working our way slowly but surely to that goal. And yeah, it would be awesome if you would be a part of it. Si vous regardez l'émission dans un replay, vous pouvez souscrire. Le bouton est en bas ici. On aimerait bien vous avoir partie de notre famille, de notre communauté où on parle intelligemment, avec civilité au sujet des Canadiens, au sujet du hockey. Si vous aimez ça, joignez-vous à notre émission, notre canal. J'aimerais bien vous parler au sujet des Canadiens. On n'a pas eu de conversation en français ce soir, mais dans le futur, j'aimerais bien avoir beaucoup de participation en français. J'aimerais avoir une émission bilingue pour tout le monde. Alors, si vous êtes intéressé à ça, j'aimerais bien vous parler, j'aimerais bien vous avoir partie de notre famille. Et vous pouvez certainement parler à vos amis. Si vous avez des amis qui aimeraient cette sorte de contenu, ça serait excellent de vous avoir. So that's it for tonight, guys. Ovi scored again. I saw that. I appreciate everybody. We're not in a position to rebuild, Antoine. I do think that what we will do in the future is we're going to start working on having other people on the show, whether it's guests or co-hosts down the road. Maybe get Intertap here on the show or some others as well. So, anyways, I do appreciate all of you. Merci beaucoup. Je vous apprécie. Thank you for being here. Merci d'avoir été ici. On vous verra demain soir après le match contre les Bruins. We will see you tomorrow evening after the Bruins game for Habs After Dark. L'émission demain soir après le match des Bruins, c'est en français. En anglais, c'est Habs After Dark. En français, c'est Bleu, Blanc, Rouge, Nuit. I thought that's a pretty clever French name, by the way, guys. Nobody's really given me any real applause for that clever name. But anyways, we will be back next Wednesday again with another, of course, episode of Habs Therapy Day. On va être ici la semaine prochaine, mercredi soir, avec une autre émission de Habs Therapy Day, la journée de thérapie. Alors, on vous verra, on va vous voir la semaine prochaine. Yeah, I'll take a pass on Don Cherry Bear. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think it's. I think you're right. It just you get. I think as the Canadiens continue to play well, that I think we'll get. Again, I'm not really prepared to get into the clickbait and to sort of get outrageous and sensationalize the show just to get more people. It's not something I'm prepared to do. It's not something I'm comfortable with, and it's not something that I want. I want to have good quality content, and I want to have good quality people watching. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not interested in being typical of other internet content providers when it comes to hockey and the Montreal Canadiens. So I guess that is my burden to bear, and it means that it's just going to take a little bit longer to get to the numbers that we want to have. But I do want to try and get to that 500 number because it is a bit of a magic mark for YouTube, in that it allows you to do a number of different things as far as, people can join the channel, people can, do super chats and stuff like that. So anyways, thank you for the kind words, Nicholas. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Bear. Thank you, Habination. Merci, Antoine. Born to be a Hab, thank you as well. Umeki, awesome content. I appreciate your contributions. That was great. Who else do we have here? Glenn Wagner was here as well. I think he just popped in very, very quickly. Maverick was here, of course. Mav is really got really good content on TikTok if you're interested. Well, big Edmonton Oilers guy. Run with Kings, of course. Big LA Kings fan. And a regular here and on Coach Frenchie's channel. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I do appreciate everybody. It's been great as usual. It's always a fun time, and I thank you very much. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. C'était beaucoup le fun. Merci pour ça. Alors, on va vous voir à la prochaine. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.